Hey guys, so we're gonna be doing the review for the movie Star Trek Beyond, and it... Hang on just a second. Mr. Scott, beam me up out of here. I have to change my wardrobe. Yeah, I had to change because if you wear a red shirt, if you know anything about Star Trek, you know that's a bad idea. Okay, so Star Trek Beyond. I've actually been waiting a long time to do this review. It came out in July 22nd, and I actually saw it the very next day. And I was excited to see it because I wanted to do a review of it when it was still in theaters. But I was suffering from like a pretty bad anxiety attack during the movie, and so when I got home I barely even remembered like anything from the movie. Like if you would have asked me, okay, what happens and this and that, I would have been like, I don't know. So I did pre-order the Blu-Ray. It just came out yesterday, so I watched it last night. And as I was watching it, everything came back to me. Anyway, there's a lot I want to talk about in this movie, and I thought because it's the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, I'd do the whole dress-up thing. I'd beam down, I'll beam back up. Here, beam away from here. Star Trek Beyond is the third Star Trek reboot, if you want to call it that, movie that's come out. The first two were directed by J.J. Abrams, and this one was not. And when I heard that this one wasn't going to be directed by him, but it was going to be directed by Justin Lin, I was a little worried because I was like, I don't want this to be over-the-top, just mindless action. I want it to have a good story, I want some character development, I want what we got in the first two movies. I went into the movie hoping it wasn't going to be bad. And it actually wasn't. This movie is fantastic. I loved it. And whether you're a Star Trek fan or not, or whether or not you've seen the other two movies leading up to this, it doesn't matter. You can go into this movie and you can watch. Is my microphone on? It is. Oh man, I just got scared for a second. Okay, let me get back in the zone here. Whether you've seen the first two movies or not, you can still watch this movie and have a great time. You're going to fall in love with the characters, you're going to enjoy the action, the story is pretty good. I would say a brief synopsis of this movie is, it's a rescue movie slash prisoner of war film slash escape movie slash, oh man, now we have to chase the bad guys. So, it's a whole combination of a lot of stuff. It is an action movie, for sure. There is some humor spread throughout, which was nice, but it wasn't over the top where it pulled you out of the movie where you're like, that was funny. And here we go again with, you know, not a serious tone to this film. This movie had both, and it was really, really well done. I really liked this movie. It stars Chris Pine as Captain Kirk, Zachary Quinto as Spock, Carl Urban as Dr. McCoy, also known as Bones, Anton Yelchin as, You're doing it again.
What?
Why are you standing outside my door?
I wasn't wearing anything close. Dude, I got an idea though. No, really. This should be on video. I was just thinking, I was listening to you doing a review.
You should do Thomas in the review of Star Wars Movie Night, and it shows you start with number one, you're sitting down on the couch.
Do you realize I'm in the middle of doing a review right now? And it's past your bedtime. Close my door and stay away from it, please. This is the second time he's done this. It stars Anton Yelchin as Chekhov, John Ho, I think? John Cho. Okay. Yeah, I can see why that was confusing. John Cho as Sulu, Zoe Saldana, or Saladina, Salad. Zoe Salad as, Salad. Zoe's... Zoe Saldana. How do you actually say that? Zoe Saldana as Lieutenant Uhura, and Simon Pegg as Montgomery Scott. An interesting thing is Simon Pegg actually was co-writer for this movie. When I heard that, I was like, oh no. He's just going to spread jokes throughout this movie the whole time because he's known for his other films that he's written and acted in that they're mostly, like, humorous. And I was like, please don't turn this into a comedy. I want a serious action movie with some humor spread throughout. Like I said, I touched on that earlier. And they did actually do that. His writing really surprised me. It was pretty good. The one gripe I have about the movie is, from a filmmaking standpoint, was that if you're looking for a very character-driven movie, you're not going to get it with this one. It didn't take away from the movie for me at all, because I've grown to love all the characters over the past 2 previous movies, but it didn't really evolve their character more for the next film. So that was like my only problem with this movie. There are a good amount of night scenes, and scenes in the dark, but the way it was done, it was not where you're like squinting and you can't tell what's going on. The lighting was done well so that you realize it's nighttime, and it's somewhat dark, so you get the same feeling that they're getting, but you can still see what's going on. So I liked that a lot. The action scenes were pretty well done in this movie. I was impressed. The other thing I would have changed if I would have made the movie is at the end when Kirk faces off with the main bad guy and they're fighting. The fight didn't seem long enough, and it doesn't always have to be in a movie, but this is the climax of the movie. I mean, it should be pretty dramatic. Like, if you saw Star Trek Into Darkness, at the end, when Spock is just beating Khan up on, like, this floating trash machine. Yeah, it sounds so dumb, but look it up because it's awesome. He's just beating him up, and it's, like, dragged out and intense and exciting. This was too, but not in the same way. It just didn't feel long enough. It didn't feel like there was enough investment in it to make me, like, be worried for any of the characters. I wouldn't say this movie is a mindless action movie. I would say it's a well-done action movie with not too much focus on character development, but still strong characters. So yeah, that's what I would say. Okay, so let's talk about some of the content. It really wasn't that bad, honestly. It's different than the last 2 movies. The last 2 movies, in each movie, there was a mildly inappropriate scene. And in the first movie, it was set up to develop some character points and some of the story later on that you find out. The second movie was just thrown in there because it was showing that Kirk is a womanizer. So, in this movie, there was none of that. And I like that. But they did do one thing which, if you wouldn't have known they were going to do this and there wasn't such a big deal about it on social media, you would have watched the film and never even noticed it. I'm not even sure if I want to talk about it. I guess if I'm leaving this portion of this in the review, that means I will talk about it. So I will talk about it, and maybe I'll put it in, maybe I won't. Which I guess if you're watching this, that means I am putting it in? Maybe? Yeah, it does. The original actor from the original series, George Takei, played Sulu. And in the show, his character, Sulu, is straight. He's not gay or anything. But the actor in real life is gay. And the writers and producers of this Star Trek movie, Star Trek Beyond, said, it's the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, let's be bold and go where no man has gone before, and let's kind of push, that agenda into the movie. What they did is, now Sulu's character is gay. And I find this interesting just because in the original show, he wasn't gay. The actor is gay, but the actor came out and talked to the writers and the producers and said, okay, this isn't quote for quote, but he basically said, I like what you're trying to do, but my character from the original series was not gay. But he's like, I'm gay, and this is great that you want to do this, but the character isn't gay. And you wreck the character for so many people, whether they're gay or straight, because there's a lot of devotion to Star Trek. And you just, like, you're ruining the character. And he actually asked them, he begged them and said, please don't change the character. Let him stay straight. What does it matter? But they told him no. And now Sulu is gay. And the interesting thing about it is, in the movie, the way they show it, you would have no idea that he was gay. They allude to him having a daughter, or a little girl who's close to him. On a flight deck, there's a little picture of her on the desk. And when they get to the spaceport, he gets off the ship and he walks towards this man and this little girl. The man is Asian, just like he is, and he runs up to the little girl and gets down on his knees and gives her a hug and gives her a kiss. And you don't hear any dialogue because it's shot from far away, but you can tell, like, this is probably his, niece, or, his ex-wife's daughter, or maybe his deceased wife's daughter, and this guy's just taking care of her while Sulu's away aboard the Enterprise. And then he gets up, and he just looks at the guy, and he puts his arm, like, around his back, and they just look at each other and walk with the little girl. If you didn't know that he was supposed to be gay, you wouldn't have known, even from that scene. So, it's like mind-boggling to me, because if you're going to show that he's gay, why not show that he's gay? And, they didn't want to offend audiences, but yet they were so strong about, he's gay now. And they decided not to change it, and it was a big deal on social media, and all of that for this tiny 5-second scene that you would have no clue what it was about. I don't know. It's just odd to me. Other than that, that was the only thing that was, like, suggestive and inappropriate in this movie. So back to the negative content. There is a good amount of mild language spread throughout, and it doesn't bother me because I'm around strong language quite a bit. Not in my family or anything, just, doesn't bother me. But some people, it might bother them. This is by no means a kid's movie, obviously. It's PG-13 for some sequences of sci-fi action and violence. If I was rating it, I would obviously add in the, some mild language throughout, just because it stood out a little bit more. There is some violence. I never thought in this movie that it went over the top, and that it was, like, dark violence or anything, or graphic or gritty, but there is one scene, this is kind of a spoiler, so I'll throw this up. It doesn't spoil the story, it just spoils the villain. So I'm going to throw this up, and then when it's gone, you can unmute it. But the main bad guy, he has this alien technology where he draws life from, like, people. So, like, he takes their, life force, it's science fiction, okay? He takes their life force, and it helps them to live longer through this technology that he has. They never really focus on it, they just show it once. But he takes all these people from the Enterprise because he needs these people, because he's trying to stay alive. So, there's a scene where, he shows how big and bad and tough he is, and there's a man and a woman hanging upside down next to him, hooked up to this machine, and then he just goes like this and grabs them, and you can tell, like, it's changing his body and giving him energy and sucking the energy out of them. So, it's not, like, that's the only scene in the whole movie where if there was kids watching with me, I'd be like, okay, kids, turn away, and I'd skip it. But it's literally 10 seconds long. They never show it again. It's just shown as, this is how he gets his power. So, that was pretty much the only negative content in this movie. This movie is not a hard PG-13, but I do think it warrants its rating. I think that's pretty much it. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. Oh yeah, there was 2 lines in this movie that I really liked, and one was between Dr. McCoy and Spock, and the other one's between Kirk and the bad guy at the end. So, the one between Dr. McCoy and Spock went something like this. Spock's all like, I'm injured, but I don't fear death. The fear of death is illogical. And then Bones is like, yeah, but The fear of death is what keeps us alive. I don't know. I like that quote. I like the way it was delivered. It was awesome. In between Kirk and the bad guy at the end, the bad guy's like, "You're gonna die trying to protect people." And Kirk says, "It's better to die saving lives than to live taking them." And I was like, yeah, it's cliche, but I liked it. I don't know. It's a great action movie. If you just want to sit down and watch an action movie, it's great. It's fun, it's exciting, it's not stupid or boring, and you don't have to see the other films or any Star Trek anything to watch this film and enjoy it. My personal rating for how much I enjoyed it would probably be an 8 out of 10. I really like this movie a lot. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for personal enjoyment. For filmmaking standpoint, I would say a 7 out of 10. Maybe 7.5 out of 10. So yeah, check it out if you want to. If you don't want to, don't. Whatever. You know, I'm just, as you know, talking about the movie. So instead of saying, you know, thanks for watching, check out my channel and everything, because I just did, saying that to you now, I'm gonna say, live long and prosper, and Mr. Scott, beam me up.